Chris has learned so much about the business, connecting with and helping agents, and he's a resource that y'all need to know. But I'm glad he's got a perspective on partner that he's going to share with us here. I mean, I can remember us having couples massages over on the beach in Fiji in that house with a windy day, you and your wife and Noah and I. It's just like, I remember like falling asleep. I was so relaxed. Some of the experiences we've had together is pretty cool. Just to say, man, I can remember being in Fiji and hanging out and get a couples massage. It's just crazy to say that. And I hope people can appreciate that, but glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Mike. I'll say this. You were relaxing asleep. Me and Crystal were terrified because we're like, how in the world did we end up in Fiji? Somebody's going to come and take us. You know, Mike and Noel look like they belong here. And I remember I was 23, and I remember I was laying there thinking, just any moment, they're going to figure out. Like, they're going to look at Mike and Noel and look at me and Crystal and be like, oh, we got the wrong people, and we're going to get kicked out of there. It's been a journey. Mike and Noel, thank you for all that you sacrificed to do this. I really believe, Noel, if you had not got in that van and rode down from Ohio, none of this would be here. It would not have taken off the way that it did. We would not have anything that we have. You know, now we live in a world that's really nice and cool, and everything's online. Robbie just brought out some new tools on the ARC, and our contracting's online, e-apps, and you know, y'all lived through the days of where the leads got mailed to you in boxes. And, you know, people are like, I want fresh leads. Like Mike and Noel, their leads got mailed to us, and then we mailed them to them. So, I mean, they were fresh leads that were like 10 weeks old because we couldn't get them to them any faster. And so y'all lived through all that crazy stuff. And really, you know, to be honest, if y'all had not kept pushing and figured it out, none of us would be here. You know, Andy is incredible, but he's only as good as the team that he has with him. And so thank you for your sacrifice and for your willingness just not to quit and to win no matter what it took. Because without that, none of us would be here. There's no telling what we'd be doing. And so thank you. One of the things that's been the most exciting to me here recently is this whole partner concept and everything that's taken place. And I've had the opportunity to go down to Integrity and spend a day in their office. I've had the opportunity to hang out with Brian Adams and stay up with him till 3 in the morning and just learning more about all this and everything that takes place. And this is amazing to me, the concept of it. I remember when I first heard it, Jake, I was like, I don't know if this is possible. And then I started studying it more and figuring things out. I was like, okay, it's starting to look real. And then there's a blog, you can Google this, Integrity Marketing Group Employee Ownership. And they gave away $50 million to their employees meaning partners and the employees, in a stock deal. So it's documented, $50 million. I remember my wife is a skeptic. And so she was like, yeah, it's too good to be true, blah, 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 blah. And I showed her, I said, it's right here, $50 million. And they were tiny then. They were tiny. They were buying in a company a week. And that was 2 years ago. So that's 100 companies ago, and it was $50 million is what the payout is. And I was like, this is amazing. You need to write down this name, David Solomon. David Solomon. He is the CEO of Goldman Sachs. CEO of Goldman Sachs. Apparently, Goldman Sachs is a pretty big deal. David Solomon flew to Dallas, Texas, specifically to meet with Brian Adams. Flew in to meet with Brian, scheduled it, went to Dallas just for him. Now this dude, David Solomon, they say that Warren Buffett, Donald Trump, Biden, anybody wants to meet with him, trying to get a meeting with him. David requests a meeting with Brian. So when he gets down there, Brian says, why are you here? You know, kind of terrified out of his mind because this guy he controls pretty much all the money and what flows. And here's what he said. He said, your company is one of the 3 fastest growing companies in America right now. Not in insurance in America, just overall. One of 3 of the fastest growing. He also said, we've noticed that year over year, you're up 108%, this was back in December, just in the month of December, you're up 108% in a pandemic. Then he said this is the part gets me really excited, Ray. He said, at some point we realize that you're going to go public, and when you do, you're going to be the major mover of insurance in the entire U.S. economy. So we would like to know you before that, because we think you're going to control everything when it comes to insurance. That's the part that gets me fired up. So this dude, David Solomon, if he's willing to fly down to Dallas, the Integrity Partnership, the way it works is there's a company called HGGC. And that stands for some really rich dudes that invest in people. And the chairman of the board's name is Steve Young. Most people know Steve Young. He was the quarterback for the 49ers. And he won the Super Bowl, MVP. Now he's a sports broadcaster, Hall of Fame. Here's the crazy thing, Jake. He's made more money in the last 4 years in integrity than his entire football career combined. So 4 years in insurance, more money than all of his football combined. And so it's crazy, the opportunity. Here's how partner works, Chris. You grow your business to a certain size. You get it to a certain size, Integrity looks at it, and they say, all right, I'm willing to buy your business. I want to partner with you. So let's say, Chris, I don't know if you know this, but if you have 8 legs with a 10% spread, and each leg is doing 20 sales a week, that's a $1.1 million income on average. That is with a 10% spread and only a 4% glow. So 8 legs doing 20 sales with a 10% spread, that's a $1.1 million income. So let's say Integrity comes in and they look at you and are like, all right, Mr. Manifold, we noticed that you are making $1.1 million in revenue. We would like to purchase that from you and go partner. So then let's say they offer you $8 million. All right, I don't know how much they offer. And I'll probably never know how much they offer each person. That's per each individual. They sign all the paperwork for it. Trust me, I've tried to figure it out. Nobody will tell me. So let's say they sold it to you for $8 million. All right, so they buy your company. They're going to give you a percentage in stock and a percentage in cash. So, Chris, let's say they give you 50-50. So they gave you $4 million in cash, pretty good day. They give you $4 million in stock. Now, it's actually called units because it's a privately held company. Chris, I don't know if you know this, but we are bigger than Under Armour. We are bigger than Papa John's. That part got me because they got Peyton Manning and they got Shaq. Peyton does the commercials and Shaq owns a bunch of them. We're bigger than them, bigger than the Sports Illustrated Times News. We're bigger than every major league sports team in America. So it's massive. All right? So you own stock now in a company that's bigger than Papa John's. Chris, if I told you that Amazon stock was $1 today, how much you think you'd buy? I'd buy everything I could. I'd mortgage my house. I'd mortgage your house. I'd mortgage a stranger's house. I would do anything that I could if Amazon was $1 a stock because it's going to blow up. Integrity is the same way. See, here's the way it works. The stock value right now is at $2 a share. All right? When Andy went partner, it's $2 a share. Every 3 years, Chris, they come in and they assess the company again. So if the company was at $2, they assess based on all the top shelf revenue. So when they bought Andy, went partner with him, all of his revenue comes in. Andy's now paid a salary to run his business, and all of his money goes straight to Integrity from his overrides. So every time they buy, they're increasing their revenue. And as they increase their revenue, these guys come in and assess, and they say, all right, we think it's worth this now per however much, and then they divide it up based on the stock. So here's the part that's interesting, Chris. So there's 9 funds right now. We're in Fund 7. That means there's some really rich guys pouring money into Integrity, and that's how they're buying up all the companies. After we get past 3 years, those people are past the long-term capital gains tax. So now they want to sell the stock again because that's how they make their money. Chris, guess who they sell their stock to? They can sell it to another VC, but a lot of times they sell it to themselves in another fund because that's how they get their money out of this fund. They make whatever that, say it's 4X, that's how they get their money out. So every 3 years, it sells again. Every 3 years, it sells again. There's nobody incentivized for it not to sell. So let's say you've got $4 million in stock, Chris. 3 years go by, company sells. Brian Adams said that the next buyout, he estimates that, he said this, if it goes 4X, he'll be personally disappointed. He does not seem like the type of person that gets disappointed often, and he's a killer. He's scary. And so 4X, so that means, Chris, if you had $4 million worth of stock and it went 4X, you now have $16 million. You leave $4 million in, take $12 million out. So you have sold your company and got paid $4 million in cash. 3 years later, it went 4X. You got paid $16 million, leave 4 in, take 12 out. So you have now gotten a total of $16 million. 3 years later, guess what happens again, Chris? Sells again. Let's say it only goes 2X this time. But that means your $4 million just turned into $8 million. But leave your 4 in, put your $4 million in your bank. You have now made $20 million in 6 years. Guess what happens 3 years after that? It sells again. It just keeps doing it. They call it a bite of the apple. There's a company out there that is similar that does this in health insurance. They have done this 7 times now, 7 bites of the apple. That means, Chris, you would have got 7 different checks over, and over again. Now, Chris, let's say year 5. You decide that you want to go and you bought your own island, you made a racetrack on it, and you never left the island ever again. Never left the island. You never did anything with insurance ever again. All you did was race and invite people. You like the racetrack, right? You invite people to come race, whatever. Guess what happens every 3 years? Still get a check. You own stock in the company. Let's say you're on your island and you decide to go parasailing. I don't know why you would do that because it's very terrifying, but you decide to go parasailing. So you died. Guess what happens to your stock? It goes to whoever you want it to. It's the same thing as owning Amazon or owning GE. You just own a lot of it, and you earned your way into it when they bought you out. Now, eventually, we're thinking 12, 15 years. Could be sooner, could be later. The company goes public. When the company goes public, they're estimating that it could go 50X overnight, just like that. There's a company that is in the insurance arena that went public, and they're about 5% the size of Integrity, and they went 19X overnight, just like that. You can look them up, you can check them out. They went, just like that. So they went 19X overnight, and Integrity's much, much bigger, much more revenue, a lot more people involved. So, Chris, if you had $4 million in stock, and it went 50X, you now have $200 million. This is 12 years down the road, 15 years. You haven't worked in a good 9 years. And all of a sudden, you now have $200 million. So the part about partnering to me that is crazy is we all can work for a period of time, and then it's our exit strategy. Nobody can take it from us. Nobody can mess with us. We get to pass it down. Like, I've got 3 girls. The thing that I like most about the fact that Andy went partner is that me being an employee with Andy, I got in on the stock deal. So my children now will be able to have stock because I'll pass it down to them. And it's every 3 years. I told my wife, I said, you understand every 3 years a check's just going to show up. It's just going to come in the mail because it's generational wealth. That's what partner is, generational wealth. Your grandkids will have no idea why they have so much money. They just know that they do because the checks keep showing up. It keeps showing up because it's stock. in the company. Now, Chris, when you go partner, you do not have stock in the Manifold Agency. You have stock in Andy Albright. You have stock in Levin Tovich, Paul Roberts. You have stock in Davies and Riddle. You have stock in every partner there is. They're buying in a partner a week. Every partner there is, you now own stock in this. So as long as they're going up, you're going up. Here's what you need to know. 1 out of every 3 Medicare products in the U.S. goes through Integrity. 1 out of every 3. 1 out of every 4 final expense products goes through Integrity. So you understand they're buying companies, and because they bought so many companies, 1 out of every 3 Medicare, 1 out of every 4 final expense goes through Integrity partners now. It isn't like they're just going to give that away. It's only going to get worse. And as it gets worse, we start to take over the market. And it pretty much comes this, Chris. You either get in with Integrity or you just get out altogether. When you're a partner, that means when they get in, your stock price goes up, you make more money. So, Chris, I'm going to give you 4 quick things and get the phone back over to Mike. 4 quick things on how you go partner. How do you go partner fast? Because anybody on the call can go partner in 2 years. This is straight from Brian Adams' mouth. Last Friday night when we were down in Florida, me and Robbie were Brian's bouncers. We were supposed to make sure that, I guess, none of y'all kidnapped him. I could see that happen. He's such a nice guy, so I could see somebody kidnapping him. And so me and Robbie helped him get back to his room, and then he said, hey, y'all want to come in for a little bit? I said, yeah. And so we talked till 3 in the morning. He was just telling us stuff. And so anybody can go partner in 2 years. It's as quick as that, 2 years. All right, so here's the 4 things you need to do, Chris, in order to go partner. Because remember, you only need 8 legs doing 20 sales, and that's a $1.1 million income. They will buy that. All right, number 1, you need to recruit like your life depends on it. You need to recruit like your life depends on it. Every person that you meet, every person that you see, every single person, you just need to talk to about it. You don't need to be weird. You know how those people are weird? They're like, hey, I'm in something. You need to get in with me. It's like, oh, no, here we go again. And so it ain't like that, but it's more like, hey, Chris, I started working with this company in North Carolina. We need some help in insurance. You looking to make some money? And if they say no, you say, okay. Because you come back in 6 months and ask them again. You don't have to be weird on them, but you recruit like crazy. So that's the thing, Chris. You got to recruit like your life depends on it. Just touch people nonstop, leading people. You only need 8. I want to read you. I got some numbers I wanted to read you real quick from one of our partners, what they put together. So they put these numbers together based on their business. It said this: I showed the plan to 1,200 people. 900 said no. 300 signed up. Out of those 300, 85 did something. And out of those 85, only 35 were serious. And out of those 35, 11 made me a millionaire. I'm going to read them again one more time because I went fast. I simply showed the plan to 1,200 people. 900 said no. 300 signed up. Out of those 300, 85 did something. Out of those 85, only 35 were serious. And out of the 35, 11 made me a millionaire. So it's not so much about how many you recruit as it is the activity of showing the plan to 1,200 people, because you only need 11 to make you a millionaire. The problem is you just can't pick them out, so you got to reach out to the 1,200. All right, so number 1, you got to recruit like your life depends on it. Number 2, you have to invest like you're going partner. You have to invest like you're going partner. You will not go partner trying to save your way to wealth. Most people, Chris, what they do is they starve their business. They starve their business to feed their bank account. My parents have an accounting business, and they do pretty well back in Rockingham, where everybody's super poor. They do really well, and my mom makes decent money. But here's the way they live their life, Chris. They try their best to get a certain number in the bank account and pay off 2 extra mortgages a year. That's their only goal, pay off 2 extra mortgage payments a year. That's their goal. So they end up starving their business to feed their bank account because it makes them feel good when there's a certain number in the bank account. Andy taught me a long time ago that you want rivers of money, not ponds. A pond is really cool because it makes you feel good. You can lay by it. You can go swim in it. But the truth is, the more you pull out of it, the more it goes away. So he said you need rivers of money. And the way you get rivers of money is you invest, and the money comes back to you. I try to explain to my parents, like, hey, if you would, instead of paying 2 extra mortgage payments, would invest into your company, wouldn't you make more money from your company and then eventually just pay off your house? And they're like, nah, I'm their stupid kids, so they don't listen to me. And so they starve their business by trying to feed their bank account. So the question then becomes, Chris, what do you need to feed? If you're trying to go partner, your bank account is not as important as how much you're cashing in your business, your cash flow pumping through your business. Having money in the bank is not as good as having a flow of income coming through. Because if you've got 15 grand in the bank, that's awesome. But if you're only cash flowing $1,000 a month or $1,000 a week, you could take that $15,000 out of your bank and dump it into your business to make your cash flow $4 to $5 grand a week. And now the cash flow is a river, and the river keeps growing bigger and bigger. I will tell you this: the more rivers you have, the more ponds it makes when they overflow. And so it starts creating the rivers, it starts creating the ponds. So the question then, Chris, is where do you need to invest? One is in leads. We've got a ton of leads now. So there's 2 types of leads in my mind. There's direct mail leads that we produce, and then there's digital leads that we get from vendors. Direct mail leads are like gold. They're expensive and really good quality. Digital leads are like sterling silver. They're cheap, but you can get a bunch of them and work through them. When I was a kid, my grandpa used to order a bunch of gold off of the TV. He would call that number, and they would send the gold to his house. And he used to tell me, like, you need to buy gold. Like, I ain't got no money, you know. And he'd say, you need to buy your girlfriend this gold necklace. Like, I'm going to buy the sterling silver because it's what I can afford right now. And you buy that, you know, the cheap, so on. So the direct mail, people asked us, said, which should I buy? I said, it's based off how much money you want to make. $100 in leads equals $1,000 in premium. So at the end of the day, you just figure out how much you want to sell, and you know how much you need to invest. I talked to a guy the other day, Chris, and I said, how much money do you want to sell next week? He said, 10 grand. I said, how much you spending on leads? He said, $100. I said, that's going to be really hard. That's not, the math don't make sense. Like, you got to learn to invest in leads. Too, you got to invest in recruiting. To make a bunch of money to invest in recruiting, invest in travel, invest in education. Find ways to invest. Chris, wrong investment is not good investment. One time, this lady that has a little business near me, she said, hey, I need $1,500. I said, for what? She said, for mattress, those things you put over top of mattresses, comforters. She said, I can get a load of comforters from Macy's for $1,500. I said, what will I get back? She said, $2,250. I'm in. Said, I ain't got to do nothing. Here's the cash. I gave her the cash, and I only got back like $1,200. I did not make my money back. My wife reminds me, what's today? Thursday? Every Thursday she reminds me. It's been like 2 years. She'll remind me again every Thursday. It's not a good investment. But I didn't ask nobody. I mean, if I would have asked Andy and said, hey, there's a lady at a random store that wants me to give her $1,500, he probably would have been like, not a good idea. So you got to talk to like Mike and Noel and say, hey, where should I be investing money? And it's a weird conversation because you should be coming to Mike and Noel saying, hey, I need to figure out how to spend $5,000 a week on my business. Can you help me figure it out? I need to figure out how to spend 10 grand on my business. Can you help me figure it out? Because the more that's flowing through that you're investing, the more that's coming back through you in cash flow. So figure out where to invest and smart invest. Number 3, so number 1, you've got to recruit like your life depends on it. Number 2, invest like you're going partner. Number 3 is you got to sell to fund your business. You got to sell to fund your business. Like so if you're Jared Gonzalez, you can go out and write 20,000 in 2 hours. She's just impressive like that. She's amazing. That cash flows the business, so then you can invest in recruiting and in staff and everything you need in order to go partner. And so a lot of times what people do is they sell just enough to be alive, But instead, you need to sell enough to build your business because you're funding your business to go partner. So a lot of times people ask me, say, how much do I need to be selling? How quickly do you want to go partner? That's like saying, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds. And then you say, how much do I need to work out? Well, the question is, how fast do you want to lose 20 pounds? Because, like, I've lost the same 20 pounds at least 8 times. Like, you can do it over a span of 10 years if you want to. But if you want to do it in the next 30 days, well, that's a different plan. That makes sense. Like, you decide how fast you want to go partner. And then that tells you how much you need to sell because you need to take that cash to fund it into your business. All right, then number 4, and then I'm done. Number 4, I think this one is the hardest. Number 4 is you've got to figure out how to listen and implement what Mike and Noel say about the business, regardless of what you think or feel. This one's the hard part. Because here's what we want to do. We want to do it the way we want to do it. But the truth is, their success warrants us listening to them. I try to go to the gym at least once a year, and I do workouts, and it's going good for me so far. And trying my best to, I've got a buddy that I work out with, and we do Wednesdays or leg days. And so I hate Wednesdays. And we got to do the squats and all that stuff, Chris. So you know how you do the squats? You put the bar on your neck, on the back of your neck. Feels really weird. And then you have to squat down, which is unnatural. Well, my buddy's always talking about form and lean back on your heels. And it's all these rules. All these rules and all these stupid things. And I'll tell my buddy, I say, hey, I don't want to do it your way. I'm going to do it my way. And he'll say something like, well, you're going to hurt your back and you'll never be able to lift more weights. And I'll say something like, well, you're ugly. And then he'll get mad. And it's just back and forth. We always have this argument. And so, but in my mind, I want to do what makes me feel good doing these squats. But the truth is, based off of his experience and his success, I need to listen to him, regardless of how I feel. Because he has the success that I want to have. Now, I've got other successes that he doesn't have. And so if we're talking about those things, then that's different. But when it comes to doing squats, he's a pretty jacked dude. I should listen to him. The business is the same way. You start to come in here and work the business. Well, Mike and Noel have success. So let's say they say, hey, Chris, we think you ought to do this. And you go, I don't think I want to do that. Here's what I would like to do. Well, based off of their bank account and the size of their business, it warrants me listening to their experience over my feelings. Because I may not want to do what they say. But based off of their success, if I want their success. Now, some people are like, I don't want their success. Well, then, don't worry about it. That's the cool thing about it. Like, you got to do what they say. But you can't have what they got without doing what they recommend doing. And so sometimes they're going to say things, you're going to be like, I don't want to do that, but I'm going to do it because I trust them. And it's not even that I trust them as individuals, which I do, but I trust them based off their success. You look at their volume, you look at their cash flow, you look at their success, and you're like, shoot. If it worked for them, then it'll work for me. Before COVID, Chris, I used to take the teenagers to the corn maze. And I don't know if y'all know this or not, but teenage boys are just stupid. They're so dumb. And you take teenage boys to a corn maze, and they avoid the path. And they start digging through the corn like idiots. And then they get lost. Then I have to go get it's happened so many times, I have to go get the farmer. He's got to go find them. He's mad because they broke his corn, whatever. And I always ask them, so what are y'all doing? I said, we were going to take a shortcut. And I get so aggravated because I'm like, there's a farmer who spent all this time cutting a path from one point to the other point. And for some reason, you decided that cutting through the corn where there was no path, you could not see, and no one had walked it before, and you thought that was a faster way to get to the other end. In this business, there's 1,000 ways to make money. But there is a handful of ways where, like Mike and Noel have gone from making nothing with us to making $1 million with us. So if I could convince you to follow the path you can have the same success they are. So recruit, invest, sell, and implement. If you can do those 4 things, you can go partner. It can be as fast as 2 years. As fast as 2 years. And then I'll leave you with this. If I was you, Chris, I would try to increase my communication. The reason that I know you should increase your communication is because we all need to increase our communication. You know, that's what Andy always says to me. He says, you need to increase your communication. I said, yeah? He goes, yeah, I just know you do. I ain't looked. I'm like, okay, you know. The more we communicate, the better we become. The more we communicate with call to actions. Here's what's happening. Here's what I'm going to do. The more that we communicate, the better we become. A basketball team that communicates wins. It doesn't matter how good they are. If they don't communicate, it's hard to win. Business is the same way. So the more you can communicate with Mike and Noel on the good, the bad, the more you can be transparent, be naked in front of them, say, here's where I'm at, this is what I'm dealing with, not hiding things, the faster they can get you to partner. Mike and Noel, I want to tell you from the corporate office, we appreciate you. Because not only are you leading your team, but you are leading the country. And not only are you, I mean, y'all are killing it with your group, but you have set the example for the rest of the alliance. And I am confident without you, Riddle, and Paul Roberts, none of it. We wouldn't have. I don't know if we'd have anything, because y'all were the core. And you know, in those times when Andy was charging forward, y'all were right there beside him, running wide open. And I know that he couldn't have done it by himself. So thank you, because all of this is because of y'all. Thank you for letting me jump on, and I hope I didn't take too much time. Thank you, Mike.
Hey, Chris, thank you. I mean, I got Paige's notes. I'm listening and thinking, and just you know, I love some of the examples, and you boil it down and it's simple. So thank you for taking the time here. If there's people got questions for Chris, I mean, feel free to either open up your mic, post it in the chat, text me if you want it to be anonymous. You know, so if you got a quick question for Chris or Noel, if you got a comment or question here, you know, I just like, you know, I think I just picture like when you say, you know, I wonder how many people think when somebody says recruit like your life depends on it. You know, I wonder if anybody like stopped to thought, what does that mean? Like, does that mean like if I see somebody and I should like be talking to them based on how I feel, or like, you know, somebody's got a gun to my head, they're going to shoot me or shoot my baby or shoot my wife if I don't. You know, just thinking, how serious do you need to be in those moments when you're like your comfort or discomfort is holding you back? And hey, do I need to reach out and talk to this person? Or hey, I need to slow down and talk to my client and ask them who they know. But my client's 82 years old. Yeah, what about their grandkids? You know, just like you can start part of my mind. If I'm open, I'm thinking, yeah, I need to do this. But then part of my mind is thinking, well, I got reasons not to. Here's why I really don't need to do that one thing Chris said, because, you know, I've got this perfect excuse in this situation that Chris isn't really considering. And I'm like, when I feel that resistant side and I become aware of it, I said, that's when I start shooting myself in the foot. And that's kind of like when I'm starting to not do number 4, which is be open and be receptive to listening and implementing. So I hope y'all hear everything that's there, just because he's broken it down very simply. And we're going to have people that join the company, that join the alliance here in 2021 or join in late 2020, that will be partners in 2023. I guarantee it. It will happen. Somebody's going to come in and they're going to be like, I don't care what happened in the past. Here's me and my new life. Here's what I'm going to do. And they're going to run the table. And they're going to pass people. People are going to be frustrated. But Chris is taking the time to lay this out. And I hope y'all picked up on the first part. Partner is worth doing.
I just want to say thank you, Chris, for spending the time here and taking a whole hour out for us. And we all really appreciate it. I'm fired up. You got me re-fired up again. I'm just like, it blows my mind that you all have an opportunity to make millions of dollars for you, and you can pass that down to future generations, your family. It blows my mind. I'm like, I don't know about you. I've just never been in a position to be able to do that before. It's crazy. But Andy's been laying the groundwork for years for this to make it a legacy. We are world changers. what we do today is going to change the future of the world. What we do in the next 24 months is going to lay the foundation to change the world. Okay. That's why we're the world changers. But I want to thank Chris. And then I saw that Jara raised her hand, so I want to give her a moment here.
Thanks, Noelle. Hey, Chris, thanks for being on. We appreciate you pouring into us today. Just real quickly, I was texting with Andy last night and I asked him this question. I said, what are the most important things that I can be doing and investing in to go partner? And his response was association, team, width, and depth. Can you just quickly expand on those really quick for us?
Yep. So your width and depth is how you go partner, because that's what they're going to be buying. And so your personal production is how you fund the width and the depth. And so the width and the depth and the team, so the bigger you get the team, the more they want to buy you. And so, I mean, if you think about it, 8 legs with a 10% spread doing 20 sales is a $1.1 million income. It doesn't seem so far away because it's just 8 people. I guarantee you this, if I had 8 Jaras, I'd be a millionaire. Just simple as that. If I had 8 Jaras, with 8 Jaras, I might be more than a millionaire because you're doing more than 20 sales per week with your group. And so that's the whole width and depth. And you're trying to fund that as much as you can. The association part is you have to start thinking like a partner. Most people don't think like a partner. Most people think like an insurance producer, and that's why they stay insurance producers. You got to start thinking like a partner. The way partners think is, where can I invest money to get the biggest return? Where can I invest to get my highest payback quick as possible? And so the association is getting around the other people. I'll explain it to you this way. I don't know what I don't know. I remember one of the first times that I traveled with Andy, I learned that hangers are not important. It's just something, the things that you hang your clothes on. And we got somewhere, and he just threw his hangers away. And I said, hey, what you throw them things away for? And he said, I don't need them. I'm wearing the clothes. I thought, man, I spent $1 at Walmart to buy 10 of them things in college, and you throwing them away? He goes, I ain't carrying them back with me. I'm like, and I started thinking like, oh yeah, it's only like a dime. I'd fight you over a hanger when I was in college. I was broke too, but I'd fight you over a hanger. I'm like, I will kill you over this hanger if you take my hanger. I mean, it was a bad deal. You got to have something to hang clothes on. And he just throws them away, and I was thinking, oh, yeah, it ain't. But my thinking got changed because of it. One time I was talking to him, and I said, hey, Andy, we're doing the same amount of production with 3 less employees. We're saving you money. He cussed me out. And I said, the word you cussing me out for? I saved you money. Every time I tell my wife I save money, she gets all happy. I told you I saved money. You cussed me out. And he said, if I have money in the bank, it's useless to me. What do I care? I need cash flow. So if you're not spending my money trying to make me more money, and then he said, I didn't pay you to be my accountant. I paid you to grow the premium. I said, oh, okay, got it. And it dawned on me at that moment. I was like, oh, my amount of money in the bank account does not, my wife loves it when there's double digits in the bank account, past the comma. That's like her thing. Don't let it go past double digits. That's what her thing is. But I look at him like, if I put it in and I get 3 times back, and that's what Andy was explaining to me, is that so it's just that thinking that changes you, because we've all been governed a certain way. So that's what the width and depth is, how you go partner, because that's what they're going to buy. The association is how you figure out how to go partner, by spending time around them. And so getting out of your comfort zone, going somewhere and learning what they know.
Well, listen, Chris, thank you very much. As Chris mentioned, Andy's going to be traveling next week. And one of the things to invest in is association. If you've not had a chance to get at a boot camp or get a new person on your team to a boot camp, I would highly suggest you take the time to get there yourself. Or if you got someone new, encourage them to be there.